Anysquared Spotlight Art Talks highlight member and friend artists of all ages and experiences. Okay. So welcome everyone to Anysquared Spotlight. We highlight artists of all ages and all experiences. And we've been doing this weekly since December, and I think we're going to continue this little project. Um, and today we have Eazel, who is a painter and who is a lovely person. And um, uh, Eazel just walked into our studio because they saw a sign on the street and came up, and then they decided they liked it and stuck around for the last few years. And when we have studio day in person, we hope to see them. And and I'm a fan of Easel's paintings. I really love them. I think they're wonderful, and I'm excited to hear you talk about your work. So let's get going. Get started.
Well, all right. So I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen, and I'll show you guys this little PowerPoint I came up with like just an hour ago. This is all very recent stuff. So, can you guys see this well?
Yes.
Okay. So this is done on Procreate. I'm doing this for a possible mural opportunity, which would be my first one ever. So I'm super stoked. Yeah. Um, I did this for a figure studies class. It's actually up in the art building right now, along with two other ones. It's paper, crayons, and ink.
Layers.
Yeah, I love to work on layers. Um, and then here's another piece that's just in the back of like a notebook. Um, so I'm gonna talk a little bit about how I make my work. I make my work very spontaneously. Unless it's for a class, I try to plan it a little bit because it's a grade. But I usually just create. Overall, to just listen to what's going on and what comes after each piece. I generally paint with crayons, acrylic paint, ink, and sometimes even pastels. I love oil pastels. I used to be into sculpture for a couple years, but right now I'm working digitally and on paper and panel. Um, and I think that I work in these materials because they're easily accessible. And a panel specifically, you can kind of be more rough with it, which I love. I love like adding textures and layering. And if I'm working with a crayon, I break them so much. I like because I'm adding so much pressure. So panels and paper are really good for that. Canvases, not so much, but I used to do some canvas work. Um, so um what I like about my work is that it's very colorful. I try to incorporate as many colors as I can, but not overdo it so that it doesn't make sense. But sometimes it doesn't make sense, but that's okay. Um, Most of it carries a message or a conversation. I also like that I feel comfortable with creating very honestly, and I carry a lot of expression through a lot of my work. Um, my work is reflective of the times. So, like a lot of social stuff, I kind of like in my own inner turmoil, try to reflect it through my art and essentially try to come close to like my own truth and how I view it. But sometimes it's also just for fun. I like to explore the interactions of colors, shapes, and sometimes rendered images. So I'll throw in a hand or a portrait in there or some random object just to contrast that abstract with realism. Um, because my work is abstracted, it's not really apparent to viewers that I explore the theme surrounding identity. Um, I do that in more of my recent stuff. I'm trying to like find who I am and like where I came from, but it's like I said, it's not so evident to the viewer because of the style that I like to paint in. But recently I've been exploring like contrasting ideas and then matching them together. And I think that goes really well with how I use color and abstract and like and realism. Um, some subjects and ideas that influence my work are, like I said, current social events, and then just my inner child trying to make sense out of it. I try to always tap into that part of me that um, is open to seeing things how it is, how they are, and being open to accepting them no matter how, you know, raw and cruel they can be, just because, that's life. Um, some influential artists for me is I think music plays a big role in my art. I'll be listening to full albums and I kind of like visualize the music. That's why I like jazz so much. It's just like kind of like everywhere, and there's like it breaks the rules a lot, and I like that. But in terms of actual of like non-musical artist, um, I really like Basquiat, Picasso, Shepard Fairey, and Matisse. So very colorful, kind of abstract street art. That kind of is my vibe. Some of my inspirations are people, um, people like my family, my siblings. Right now, mainly like my little sister. She looks up to me a lot, so I want to inspire her to be her most authentic self and to do essentially what brings her happiness. And I want her to see me do that so that she feels like she can do it as well. And I grab inspirations from patterns and everyday things, like buildings, like city and urban settings, and people, like photographers. I love looking at other people's work. So this is a picture by Miguel, or also known as Akira. He takes pictures of women and, well, this is not a woman, but um, he takes pictures of people, mainly portraits and stuff. And he took some pictures of like some of the protests during the summer. Um, and I envision my work to be in murals. Right now I'm currently starting my first one, so it's really exciting to see my work up in that big of a space. Like I am just so stoked for it.
Congratulations.
Thank you. That means a lot.
Exciting. It's
Yeah,
exciting.
and what's really cool is that it's part of an organization that helped me a lot grow up. So I was in foster care for a bit, and I don't know, just like it's nice to give back to that group and be able to be part of it again as an adult and as an artist. But yeah, my main goal, my like end goal, since I was in third grade, was to my dream career is to become a tattoo artist, and work with people to come up with a visual, with a piece of art that they love so much that they want to, stab ink to their skin. I think that's super cool. I like the aesthetic, and that's where I envision my work to be as well, hopefully. Um, and yeah, I want to utilize my art mainly to inspire others and to help create visuals for creative businesses as well. I love collaborating with some of my friends that either need like a logo created, album cover, or they just want a portrait of themselves, you know, if I'm down for it, I'm like, yeah. And yeah, and I'm also open to like maybe teaching in the future. I love that collaborative work that comes with creating with other people, and I think teaching is something that um, my can allow for that. So this is another recent piece that I've done. Not sure if this one's up on Instagram or not. And there's this one. So
Are
a lot of
these are
color.
drawings and painting together?
Yeah, so this is a mix of like uh pen, there's some crayon, there's some ink down here. And then this is some other sketches for the mural. So I sent the person who's in charge of this 3 different designs, and I'm waiting to hear back which one, you know, which one they like best. So yeah, that's my little presentation I came up with. And yeah, do you guys have any questions for me?
Yeah, because I want to show people some of this is your website. This is you working.
Oh, are you presenting now, or am I presenting?
I'm presenting. Do you have other images you
No,
want
no, no, I'm done. I'm done.
Tracy, did you make a different presentation for this one?
No.
A competing presentation? I didn't realize this was going to be a dual thing. I should have brought
It's just.
Could you explain to us what's going on in on this moving pictures right now?
Yeah,
Like
so this is my website. I just started it like a couple weeks ago. It was hard. I'm not a tech savvy person at all, so I came up with this. It's still really rough and I need to update it. This is just like a little video I was able to input in there, and it's just like a fast-paced time lapse. It's a time lapse of me painting. I don't know, it's just
working on multiple things.
Oh yeah, I love working on multiple things at once.
Okay, so you like to kind of jump around from piece to piece.
Yeah, I'm pretty frantic when it comes to painting.
Keeping the same palette or switching palettes?
Generally I try to keep the same palette, but if I feel like so it needs a little bit of more balance, and I'll throw in another color. Okay. Right now, my color to go to is yellow.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
There's a lot
of
yellow.
A lot of yellow.
So this is your Instagram, and I saw that you had some prints in here, but also there's a lot of different pieces in here that I was looking at when I was looking at the work for the show. And everyone can go to their Instagram. Okay. I put it in the chat. Where's the one with the 8 on it? I like that one.
An 8. Oh, that one's on a panel.
That's on a panel, yeah.
I'm sitting in my car right now. I think you passed it.
Oh, there it is. This is a detail.
Oh, yeah, that one.
This one. Oh. So what's this one about?
So this is an interesting one. This was part of my artist show, my thesis show for college, and this one is titled Toxic Patriarchy, and just kind of poking fun at this idea of, you know, like authority and structure and stuff that needs to go away in not in all senses, obviously, but in terms of oppressive or oppressive systems and stuff. So I drew up like a sad look. This is actually only half of the painting. At the bottom there's like a sad little bird burning an American flag, and then there's a profile of like a male figure just you know, licking a boot or something. So it's like poking fun of that idea that we see this as like something to aspire to be. I don't know.
Okay.
That looks like a roll in the middle.
Yeah.
From the 8. What's
So-
the signification of the actual 8?
The 8 is kind of just like, well, it's got a couple. I thought of a couple. It's like 8 is just like a continuous kind of number. If you flip it around, it's like the infinity sign, and also like 8 as in like consumption.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah. I was at Home Depot and I was like, oh, these are cool. You know, I sometimes this show was I had an idea. The idea was deconstructing and constructing at the same time, and it was mostly though very experimental.
Okay, nice.
Thank you.
I saw a few pieces that you have an X marked out in them.
Yeah.
What is that about?
It's an intense X.
Yeah, it's you know, I'm not sure yet.
Okay.
It might have something to do with feeling tied down, or feeling like I'm not being able to express, and this is how I do it through visual.
That actually makes me think of a question. Because you were saying in your talk earlier that like, yeah, you do come from, you generate work from a spontaneous place, you know? And so I was actually wondering, and this is gonna be a weird question, so if I don't successfully do it, we'll just hopefully
throw it my way.
something spontaneous will come out of it. But I was actually just thinking about, I guess, can you describe the internal circumstances where you feel that spontaneity originates? You know, is it like, oh yeah, is it a feeling, or is it like a music? Like what's the trigger you feel, or is it just anything, you're just kind of responding to what's in front of you? So I don't know if that made sense, but we'll try.
Yeah, that makes sense. And it's everything.
It's everything.
It's everything. And it's generally like, if it's music, it comes from a very positive trigger, I guess. Music triggers me in a good way. I try to interpret it and visualize it and then come up with something to reflect it. But sometimes it's like inner stuff, and kind of what's going on in the world around, and how I interpret that. So I think some of them have very like some of them were born from a very dark headspace, which can, I think a lot of the X's mean that. So
do you think is it with music, do you find it's a consistent response to the genre, or is it just depending time, day, and everything else?
I think it depends on the genre, really.
So if it's always metal, it's always angry, or it's always like jazz, it's always like jazzy.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, music is really important to how I create. I have to have something going on to be able to do it. Sometimes I'll shut it down and see what I can come up with. But
you had mentioned Basquiat and a couple other muses of your own. Can you talk a little bit of how you arrived to find them to draw you into their art, and what about them that, you know, spoke to you?
Yeah, so actually I didn't know about Basquiat until my first senior thesis critique. And all my professors looked at one piece and specifically, and they were like, this, you should look into Basquiat. And I'm like, who? And then I looked him up and I was like, wow, it was like a full day of just researching this man and like falling in love with his work and his main message, and how he brought himself up from where he is, and like how he created and how resourceful he was, and I looked up to that.
Nice. Well, what do you happen to would you like to expound on any of his messages within his art? I honestly, I know of him, but I've never really delved into him. So if you'd like to, I'd like to know some.
Yeah, so I think he talked a lot about how different groups were treated and his viewpoints on how specifically, Black people aren't portrayed well or accurately. And I want to continue that through my own experience and through my own truth, and creating something original out of it as well, and staying true and open to giving others that space and that voice to be as authentic as they can be. So
Okay, understood. Thank you.
Wow, your paintings are so juicy, so painty.
so juicy.
You like really get into them. They're so material. Like they feel like I can feel your hand in all of them, and I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love.
What's the size of these? What's the general size of these paintings?
I'm really bad with sizing, but a regular 16 by 18, 18 by 24, sometimes 9 by 12, something like that.
Okay.
But some of them are pretty big, like my panels, the 10 pieces I did for my art show, for my senior art show, those are pretty big. I think the biggest one is like door sized. I don't know what the heck I'm gonna do with it.
You'll figure it out once you come to it.
I'm sorry?
You'll figure it out once you start running out of space.
Yeah. Once my car is overflowing with paintings and panels, oh my gosh.
I had a question. Where do you go to school?
I go to school to Olivet Nazarene University. It's it's south of Illinois in Bourbonnais.
Okay.
It's near Kankakee. I don't know if you know where that is.
I drove out there.
Yeah. Not a lot going on over here. Pretty small art department, but luckily I've been able to connect with some pretty awesome professors and some friends here.
I was kind of wondering, and I'm sorry my video doesn't work. I don't know why. It just hasn't been. It's Adrian, but in terms of with the type of contrast or like all the elements, if there's kind of if there's something about, like, I interpret it like there's like things kind of negate each other or clash if they don't do that, kind of, in a way. And I'm wondering, like, if I'm just projecting that, you could just, like, you don't even have to, you know what I mean, dignify, or if that's something you think of like more just emotive and like expressionist, or like formally, actually try to do something like that.
Adrian, that.
Or if I'm just making stuff up, you can tell me that. That's fine too. Like,
no, I'm trying to gather the question. Yeah, I think I do create that tension and that contrast, and like you said, that clash, and that's pretty intentional, I think. Like I said, I'm reflecting a lot of what I see, what I feel, and what's going on, and this is my truth. A lot of it is contrasting, a lot of it is clashing, and yeah.
or put another, maybe it's a better question, like, are there things you think about more deliberately than you used to, you know what I mean, doing art, or do you just kind of, are you just better able to not worry about that and flow, if that makes sense?
Like, do I plan my paintings and stuff?
Yeah, but I figure you must plan them because the way they look is good.
No.
But no,
they just come out, man. I don't even know. It's a lot of trial and error, but either way, that's not a problem for me because I love the process. I love creating. I love getting messy and stuff. And if something doesn't come out well, then the good thing about paint, and if you're working with on panel or something, you can paint over it, and you can create something good out of that as well, or not good, whatever.
I understand.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that question.
Oh, good. I mean,
Are there any future, let's see, either mediums or art sources that you would like to go into? I know you mentioned tattooing. You wanted to do that.
Yeah, that's the end goal. I want to take that slowly because I know it's serious, and I want to pursue that seriously with the maturity and the amount of professionalism that I need, because I view that as a very respectable career. But right now, like I said, that's my end goal. But right now, I do want to work more digitally. So I only work in Procreate, but I want to incorporate other things like Adobe and Photoshop. A lot of my classmates use that, and I've seen some of the end results, and I'm like, that's cool. But
You ever
usually,
heard of this program called Blender?
no.
You should look into that. I think
Blender.
I'm learning it now, and it's a 3D modeling, video editing. That's a side thing, but I'm looking at it as like as a sandbox. You can just play in. You can make a game out of just this one application, or you can do some crazy 3D art. And I think not only you but any other artist, I think it's one of those things where like Photoshop or Adobe, any other kind of program, where if you learn it, it could open your mind up to other things. It's definitely something where it does have a learning curve, but like I said, you can create worlds. You can create so many things. I think it would be in great interest for anybody to kind of like check that out.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is this? Hold on. You said it was called Blender?
Yeah, just like a blender.
Okay. I'll look that up. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a free program.
Oh, even cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You're not
I
going to
want
give up painting.
I am not going to give up painting. I think I've explored enough of the mediums to know that this is my space, and this is what I love working with.
She's gonna be painting on people's skin permanently.
Yeah. Yep. That's the goal.
Nice. Oh, so what part of Chicago did you grow up in, if you don't mind me asking? I'm assuming you did.
Yeah, so I grew up in the suburbs of
Okay.
Chicago. Right now I'm living with my mom and my brother in Avondale. So
Okay.
the pseudo suburbs of Chicago, I guess.
Okay. Was there anything about, like, not to get too deep into your family? What was it like growing up for you? Did your environment, the neighborhood, your neighbor, did that have would you ever want to speak on like the influences of that, or what that was like? Because I'm sure it shows in your work, and maybe if we were to speak or hear you talk about that, we can kind of
Yeah.
get a little bit more of you, if
Yeah.
you're willing to
Yeah,
sacrifice that.
that's a good question. And yeah, I think as artists, we're all born very sensitive, in like
Yeah.
in a different sense. We're sensitive, and we catch on to things differently.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I feel like everyone's an artist at a young age, and then we come to a point where we decide, are we or are we not? And I think I always knew I was when I was younger. And I think my surroundings, my parents and my siblings and everything really did influence how I view and how I create art. And so yeah, and even now, living closer to the city with my family has influenced my art, because it just pops up. It pops up like the city line, the city skylines, stuff like that. that like clutterness comes up in the work that I make because that's the environment that I'm in, and I don't even do it purposefully, but I'll end up drawing the skyline out of nowhere in most of my pieces. So I think where I grew up and the people around me and the little bit of my culture that I caught on to growing up influences me. So yeah.
Gotcha. Nice.
Yeah, thank you for the question.
No problem.
Does anyone else have any questions? Or Eric, you can ask another.
What is your, I guess, your either your siblings or your family, your immediate family members? I'm assuming you share your work, you live with them.
Yeah.
What are their comments? Do you have conversations with them about your art? How does that work? Because I'm sure, like you said, we are, first of all, we're sensitive human beings, but just in general, I'm sure you may not tell them everything that is within your art that is within you. So what do you ever, what's that like? What's that dynamic like for you, if you're willing to share?
Yeah, so as I've, been going deeper into my art making process and just becoming an artist, I've been more open to sharing the meaning behind a lot of the work that I do. And I have an awesome mom who's always asking me about, what does this mean? Or like, what? And like, she shows genuine interest in what I do. And honestly, that means the world. And like, I don't know, she just sits there and listens to whatever I have to say and like, oh, this color means that and this means that. And like, yeah, I think my sister sometimes she'll ask me to like for advice. She's getting into it as well.
Okay. Is it younger or older?
She's younger.
Okay. Nice.
So yeah,
Great.
we talk about art all the time, but she's still trying to find her medium and stuff. She's playing around with resin and paint.
What, like weed or just like
Resin?
Yeah.
No, like resin, like it's like a plastic
that you
I don't know.
pour on top of
like
things.
a
I was kind of
mold.
half joking. That was like my way of asking what that meant, but thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Nice.
It's,
Well, that's
a
great.
surface you can create.
Yeah, it's awesome. I do a lot of things, and it's not about me, but I have an older sister.
Yeah.
She's the one that got me into all the music that I am right now is from her influencing in me. I used to listen to rock. I used to listen to jazz. I still do. And she would, she was a person that got me into, everything. And so it's great to see, something similar like that. You
Opposites, but yeah. I love listening, or like some of my friends are the baby or the middle sibling, and I'm like, all right, well, how can I be a better older sister, or how do you view your oldest sister or brother? And I love hearing that, and like that's really cool that even with my sister, I see her like falling into the music genres that I like to, and I'm like, oh, okay, I see you. So it's fun to see her become her own person, but it's like I have an input on that. I had something to do with who she is, and I want to do my best at showing her what's true and what's essentially going to make you happy and like find your truest self. So
understood.
Yeah.
All right, Tracy, I'm done.
How big is the age gap between you and your sister?
I'm 28 and she's 33, and I'm not good at math. So, what was it? 4 years? 5? No, 4.
4?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
I don't know.
That's so cool. Yeah.
But yeah. That's when you said like younger sibling, I am the baby.
You are the baby.
So I have an issue with, as Tracy knows, like I want my space, because growing up I've had to take hand-me-downs. I didn't mind the music from my sister or any of the things, but at a certain point, you want to kind of swim on your own and see how far you can go, how deep you can go.
Yeah, but knowing that you have older siblings, like, wow, I couldn't even, like, I would love that, but like being that is like even cooler.
Well, yeah, well, you have the opportunity to raise the bar, and hopefully they can come
No
meet you and
pressure.
surpass. Yeah, no pressure. I mean, you just put on a
Well, you're
video. Hopefully you tell them about this and
Yeah,
they'll be
my
like,
little brother's somewhere
whoa.
back there.
Yeah. But thank you. I'm done running my mouth.
No, I had a question. Who are the artists that you know of Chicago that you actually met, like that had inspired you to do more work?
So I went to like the first gallery that I went to that I saw like Chicago artists that worked there and that I met in person and saw their work was at Gallery F, which is really close to Anysquared. So there I think the first guy I saw was Scent Rock, and I love his image and like how he incorporated his culture. So like he was just not ashamed of it, and like that's something that I always held back from. Like I always just wanted to assimilate and wanted to, you know, not show any of that. And like seeing that artist doing that and like writing in Spanish, or I think he collaborated with the poet, and some of the poetry was just so, it just, I don't know, it was just something that grew out of my heart as well, as like you know, a first gen in here in the US. And so yeah, he was probably the first one that I actually know, like personally. Well, not personally, probably if you mention my name, be like, oh, what? But I know him and I've been following him for a couple of years. Yeah, right now I'd have to really look at my Instagram to see which other artists around Chicago I look up to, but I love looking at the murals. And if I can figure out who did it, I'll look it up. And yeah.
There's a question in the chat. It says, I love that you said yellow was the color you were playing around with more. Why, and does it have a certain feeling for you? Sorry, off topic.
Yeah, yellow. So yellow is one of those colors that kind of, I was actually talking to my sister on the phone today. I was like, what's your negative color? And she said red. I'm like, what's your positive happy color? And she said yellow. And I was like, okay. And yellow is that color that kind of calls your attention, is like that. It can be like a warning sign yellow, but it could also be like a calming yellow. And I love that it's fluid in that way, and it can interchange between that kind of meaning and how you use it, really. I like using it in both ways. I like being using it as like a warning. This is heavy stuff and I'm about to paint something that's like, you know, intense. Or as like I'm trying to mellow this piece out and I'm trying to create a happy space with my art. So yeah, that's a little bit on yellow. It's also like I don't know, it's a like it could go either way. For me right now, it's a very happy, positive color that I like to sort of incorporate into my pieces so that there's some sort of balance.
Does anyone else have any questions?
Adrian again.
Go ahead.
I was gonna ask, like, if the colors are all kind of like that, like personalities are sort of, you know what I mean, like emotes, you know, or not emotes. That's a terrible word for it, but yeah. Apart from the internet connotation of emote, you know, like, because colors that, you know, I find color to be kind of a technical challenge, but the you have a very natural way. I like your colors a lot. It's the way that
Thank you. That
they don't
means a
strike
lot.
me as like you opened a book and like, okay, that's a palette. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I like
I think about color so much. Like so
It
much. Like
shows.
I see something or I hear something and I'm like, that's orange, or like, you know, that's that's brown, or that's black, and like dark colors or something like that. And I sense these things from people or like ideas and or music and sounds. And so I have a pretty interesting relationship with color. Who asked that question, or
no,
who
it's
said that?
Adrian. I'm
Adrian. Okay,
with my
I'm sorry,
video all
I
messed
kind of
up.
got lost at your question.
No, that's okay. Yeah.
What was your question?
Well, it just because it caught my attention, you know, because it's so easy to go wrong with color in my experience anyway. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I have all these paintings as a kid that it's like I got excited by colors and they became terrible because it was, you know, be like rainbows, you know, or whatever, or total mud. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
always impressed by you or any artist who's like, you know, the color is like, you know, really vivid that way, but not, you know what I mean, not like extra in any type of bad
Not
way.
like pukey colors, you know?
Yeah, just not like,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, that's it's tricky to put something together with that many colors and making it work, especially if they're at their like primary stage or close to,
Very
if they're that
full.
raw. Yeah, if they're that raw, and
yeah.
it's hard to do and to put them together. But what I tend to do is I know my color pairs. Like I know which two go together, and sometimes spontaneous, by working spontaneously, I come up with a mix that's like really good, and I'm like, ooh, this color goes really well. But like my go-to colors that I know go well are yellow and blue, um, purple and green. No, purple and yellow. I'm sorry. And I don't like green that much. I don't know why. I don't like using it. I tend to like when I use it, I'm like, oh, gotta cover it. But that's one of the colors that I'm like, I don't know, I struggle with green.
Why is that? Why do you think so?
I don't know. I think it's like
It's
like
something
in my
inside you.
something, it's like something in my
Yeah.
brain is just like it's foreign. I don't know. It connects it to something else. Um, I don't know.
I have to
But I
just
do like
send
pairing it with red. Especially if it's like what's it called? What's a red and a blue together? Artist.
Purple.
Purple.
oh, like their antithesis or
It's
something
like
like
a
the negative.
sorry.
Something.
No, it's like a aqua almost.
Mhm.
I
Oh,
can't.
seafoam. Is it it's teal?
Teal. Yes,
I
I
did
love
know
teal.
that. I did mix that before.
Oh my gosh, black, not black. Yeah, well, black background plus red, very intense red, and then add some teal on top of it. It just pops. It's just
Mhm.
so acidic and so like lively. It like screams, and I love that combination. Like when I'm trying to be loud with my paintings, I lay on a red background and put on some teal. It's great. That's a loud painting for me.
If you're listening to loud music too.
Yes. Yes. I have a pretty nice variety of music. So I go from like putting on a record on of bossa nova to like, you know, punk rock to just like alternative or contemporary indie. So I'm pretty much all over the place when it comes to music.
You have a bossa nova palette? I imagine that'd be more subdued than the teal
Yeah,
red.
I should start doing that. You know, have a bossa nova palette, have a punk rock palette, have a jazz palette. You know, not just me saying it. I'm like, my brain is like, color, color. You know, like, oh, I'm visualizing these color palettes. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I've
Yeah,
noticed that too with the like the music definitely is colorful somehow.
yeah. And like vice versa, I notice like myself looking at pieces and like hearing them in a way. Like I used to have this painting class a couple semesters ago, and there was always this one guy. I'm like, your paintings just scream jazz. I can just hear jazz with your paintings. And like some of the other painters, I'm like, I don't hear anything. But with his specific work, I'm like, it really plays jazz to me. I don't know why. But yeah.
So we're gonna see if anyone else has any questions, and then we'll take. Then we're gonna wrap up a little bit because it seems a natural wrap up, and then we'll stop recording.
Okay. Thank you so much, guys, for all the questions so far. Helen said green sucks because nature. Just kidding. Cyan.
Yeah, I was trying to get her on. So does anyone else have any more questions? Thank you, Eazel, for doing this art talk because I really love your paintings. They're so vibrant. They're so you, they come from you. I can feel you in them.
Thank you.
Every
That
single
means a
one.
lot.
Yeah, and also the colors and the compositions and you're always experimenting. I really appreciate that in your work. And I'm very glad that you did this art talk.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. It's been amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yay. Awesome.
Check social media for future Zooms and future streams.